This is my current setup for Openclaw with Raspberry Pi 4, and in this video I'm going to show you what I built, how it works. This is a super small screen with wave share 3.5 inch, and then it's running through Telegram. Really cool stuff. Going to explain everything.
Openclaw has taken the world by storm, and if you ever wanted to have an AI agent of your own, this is the best way to do it. So people were started to get Mac minis, but actually running everything on Raspberry Pi is even a better option, even from the energy saving perspective, especially that if you have a ChatGPT subscription, you won't be seeing any difference because everything is running in the cloud anyway, and Raspberry Pi just serves as a cool tool to really process everything. And in this video I'm going to show you how to build this thing on screen that you see, or basically how it will look like in the end. The link to the tutorial is here. This is basically how it looks like. There are a couple of components: Raspberry Pi 4, wave share screen 3.5 inches. Part of the construction is also coming from the kit. So this is the lower part here, the berry part below, because the Raspberry Pi is just a chip here, and everything is connected. But if you buy the kit for Raspberry Pi 4, you basically will get this. I just exchanged the top cover of the Raspberry Pi with the waveshare screen to have everything on screen and be able to see what the agent is talking about. And then if I want to, for example, connect the keyboard, I can do that as well, but I'm actually running without keyboard. The only thing that I'm using is actually doing SSH from my laptop into Raspberry Pi and then chatting it to it this way. It's available whenever I want it, so it's really cool way. And also, I'm going to you will have all the links to take the Raspberry Pi on the Amazon and so on. So if you wanted to buy it, you can with all the links. Now let's get started with the basic setup. So this is what you will need in the end. Raspberry Pi 4, I had the older version, so I went with that. But of course, if you can get Raspberry Pi 5, the newer one, this is even better. Both 4 and 5 works fine with Openclaw. Now you need a new micro SD card. SD card is, this small one, because you need to flash the new system. What you'll be flashing is basically coming from the standard Raspberry Pi OS. But you will need to have this micro SD card connected to your computer and basically give it a new life. I got 128 gigs from GoodRAM. You can basically find many of them. 32 is minimum, 64 is probably gigabytes probably recommended here to really have a little bit of space, especially if you're planning to do something like running Openclaw, because you want to have space for the agent to do interesting stuff. You probably will need some kind of a reader to connect to the computer. Maybe I'll have something here. Basically, this is one reader to turn the micro SD into SD card, and then you have some kind of a reader that you plug into USB-C port. If you click on the link, you will see what I mean, to be able to flash the system. Now, finally, you get the waveshare LCD. I went with LCD 3 C. This is the touchscreen that I'm using here. Nothing really to say. This is basically same size as Raspberry Pi 4 or 5, as you can see here. Runs pretty well. They have also, even though it's a little bit cumbersome to install it, they really explained very well. You just keep on running all the stuff. They tell you what to do, what to click. There's nothing really scary about that, except for the fact that you need to go through that. But really, it's really an easy process to install that, and you put it on top of your Raspberry Pi. Now, for the other stuff, you also need, of course, Wi-Fi credential or Ethernet cable, power supply that's coming in your Raspberry Pi kit, computer, because you want to flash that SD card with the new system, and probably a subscription, ideally from OpenAI, because this way you're going to only pay the subscription fee and not for every API call. Especially if you want to run the agent quite a lot, this is better option, because you won't be paying exorbitant prices, and OpenAI is still looking very positive towards Openclaw. Which is not the case for Anthropic. They keep on banning subscriptions if you keep on using Cloud Code with Openclaw a lot, so keep that in mind for what you should be using here. So the first case is really going with SD card. If you never used Raspberry Pi, it's pretty straightforward. If you go to raspberrypi.com software, you're going to have the software to download. For macOS, for example, that works pretty fine. You choose the device you have, so 4 or 5 in this case. You choose the OS and basically it goes through. Very easy to do it. I give you some additional steps here in the guide if you want to. Basically, choose the latest OS, 64-bit suggested. This is choose the storage that you have, the SD card, and then you just want to pre-configure that with SSH. Give a host name. Now an important part is actually for the username and password in the beginning. Just give do not change that. So you want to have Pi and the password being strawberry. Raspberry being the password. So you don't change that. The reason for that is this will allow you to connect automatically, very easy with Waveshare screen at the first run. You can change it later on, but for the first run, you can just keep the default password of Pi and Raspberry. So for SSH, this is important, of course, configure Wi-Fi so that once you boot the system for the first time, your Raspberry Pi will automatically connect. And it should work directly, so this is really cool. This whole process takes basically 10 minutes to do it. Once you have the SD card, you take it out of your computer, you plug it into your Raspberry Pi, boot it, just connect it to the power, and then it should be working right away, and you should be able to connect to it also right away with doing something like SSH and then Pi. This is the username, and Pi agent at local is meaning that this is the host name that you can choose. You can choose something different. Local means that it's only your local network. So if, for example, you choose here, I don't know, Tom's agent, and then it will be Pi at Tom's agent .local to run it. Now, once you're in, upgrade everything so you have all the latest things, and then you can go with installing some of the stuff. Especially, you need to install Node.js, the latest version 22 or later, because this is what's needed for Openclaw. Once you install that, you have all the commands here. You can also set your time zone. You don't have to. If you want to, you can install Openclaw right away. There's one command you need to run. By the way, you can already run it in a terminal on your Raspberry Pi if you want to, after you connect the keyboard, or you can connect it just from your laptop, from your PC, from your macOS. You can connect with this SSH and basically do everything on your computer. So Raspberry Pi will just stay turned on. You won't even touch it. Everything will be done in the terminal on your Mac. So I think this is pretty cool. This is how you run it, and then once you run it and install it, basically it will go through the process. You get to acknowledge that there's a security warning at the beginning. You can pick quick start mode. This is probably the easiest. Also, if you go to docs.openclaw.ai, you will see that, and basically this is how it runs. After installing the install bash, you're going to see this kind of screen as you can see here. If you don't have Node.js, it's going to get installed right away, but we already installed that, so it's fine. And it's installing basically the Openclaw. Now, you'll be able to configure that right away. For the onboarding, you just go with Openclaw onboard, and this will allow you to onboard everything. If you go to onboarding, you basically be able to choose a couple of things. Go with quick start. This will be the easiest. There are a couple of things to configure, but you'll be this is pretty easy to set up. Basically what you need to do, and this is explained here, you need to choose the provider. So you either paste your API key, or this is where I suggest you choose OpenAI and choose Codex. This is what I have, because with the subscription, you won't be paying for additional API. If you have access to other models, I think, for example, Gemini is pretty fine here as well. You can do that as well here. And then once you have that, you can pick the latest model from the list. So if you go with OpenAI and Codex, you'll be able to choose things like GPT 5.4 or 5.3 or whatever is the current latest models. Now, the important part in the setup is communication channel, how you will going to talk to the bot. You don't have to set it up actually, because you will have the local host here. So but this will mean that in order to talk to it, you will always have to SSH into your Raspberry Pi and go there. But if you want, you can just have a Telegram or WhatsApp. Both are very simple to use. With Telegram, the way it works is you have you create a new bot via botfather, you get the ID there, and you're going to paste the token there. It's really easy to configure. If you want, you can go with this platform here. Let me show you. They should have channels here. You can go with Telegram here, and then there are a couple of things you have to do. So you open the Telegram, chat with botfather, so just find the botfather on Telegram, confirm the handle is exactly that, because you don't want to message people. You run the new bot, and then basically follow prompts and save the token. You get the token from the botfather, and then once you have that, you go to the DM policy and change bot token to whatever you have right now, and then you want to add, for example, allow DMs from a particular from the particular ID. So in order to do that, I'm going to give you a comment probably here for the setting the channel, because it will make everything easier. For WhatsApp, it's actually even simpler, because if you go with WhatsApp, you're going to get a QR code that you can run. So WhatsApp gives you the pairing actually, apart from, of course, adding that to configuration. You will have to link it through the QR code. And it's very simple, because you run this command, you open your phone, for example, scan the code, and it starts working right away as well. So as you'll be able to set it up properly as well. But I probably will add it here in setting up a communication channel to make it easier. I think this is probably the thing that might be confusing. Then you go with skills. You don't give any skills. You also don't give any web search, because you don't need that. Once you have, for example, GPT-5.4, it's fine to run as it is. And then it's it. That's it, basically. You can do something more here, but basically you have it all running. Finally, you can also connect it to the LCD screen, or maybe you can do that before that. Here, after giving it the screen, you actually can follow the official tutorial, as I've mentioned. It's really great here. You have all the commands from the Waveshare directly, so it's really going together. The cool thing here is that once you have, you can open, of course, the local host. You can go with the remote also access. This is really cool one. If you run something like that, then you can basically you SSH into your Raspberry Pi from your laptop, from your computer, from macOS, and you'll be able to go then to this address on your computer, and it will show all your chats also in one place. So it's really, really cool. And basically you can talk to your agent right away. The one tip here that I have is you can, for example, ask it to build a terminal app on your Raspberry Pi that shows all the recent messages from Openclaw. So then this is the use for the screen that I'm using, is that it will be then whenever you're nearby your screen, you'll be able to see the recent messages that are happening and what your agents are doing on Raspberry Pi, which I think is very cool. This is it. This concludes the tutorial. I think it's really pretty straightforward. I mean, it takes a little bit of time and tuning for the first time. If you have any questions, of course, ask it in the comments here. I'm happy to answer. But I think it definitely should be doable on the first run. If you don't have any kind of coding experience, you'll be taken by hand and do all the steps. And also, you can always ask ChatGPT, Gemini, or Opus to help you along the way. Thank you for watching, and see you in the next video.